star. Are you ready?
I'm a lady.
So let's song and welcome to iDOL Days, the show about iDOL anime. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Star.
And we are 50 episodes old.
Happy 50 episodes. Yay!
Yay! If our podcast was a human, it would be old enough to have life crises, but young enough to not be retired.
So are we assuming that in podcast years, each episode is 1 year of our podcast's life?
Yes, it lives a very short or long life, depending on how long a podcast go.
I see. Well, our podcast, segueing slightly, is almost exactly 2 years old, so one could say that 1 year in normal time is 25 years in podcast time. Oh, our anniversary is in 2 episodes, like almost exactly a month from today that we're recording.
Yes.
Ooh.
So we're on episode 50, and for episode 50, we're back with the boys, baby.
It's boy time! Sarah, what boys are we talking about?
We are back with Uta no Prince Sama, Season 3, Maji Love Revolution.
Oh, shit, they broke the pattern. Combo breaker.
Because it's a revolution. So, if you haven't listened to our last 2 UtaPri episodes, things happen.
I haven't gone back and re-listened to those episodes recently, so my brain is not fresh. Mm-hmm. But what I remember was there was some cult stuff. It's us we're talking about. There's always cult stuff.
Yep.
But is Catboy and cult stuff. Sarah, refresh my memory as well as our listeners.
Last time on Uta no Prince Sama. So our first episode, we had the fact that 2 of the characters look just like Chihaya and act just like Chihaya.
3 Chihayas.
So that joke will probably come back.
Yay! Is there a 3rd Chihaya finally?
No, the 3rd Chihaya, remember, is the actual Chihaya, because
That's
the first
true.
season of Uta no Prince Sama was by the same studio and the same season as Idolmaster original. And so our UtaPri season 2 was after Sarah watched the Love Live movies. And we went on our whole little tangent about the Love Live girls getting raptured. Combined that with AKB0048 and concluded...
Yes, I remember this now.
concluded that the UtaPri boys, and perhaps all idols, are just the same idols reincarnated into different bodies after they've been raptured.
I remember this now. I completely forgot about all that shit. When was the last time we talked about UtaPri?
It was October. So, in actual UtaPri, what happened, first season, you basically see all the characters, they're all at this music school, they all fall in love with our main character, Haruka.
But Sarah, I thought that love was forbidden at this super
But
special
love
music
is
school.
forbidden. So, they all fall in love with her music. Become professional idols. Season 2, they enter the UtaPri Awards. Thankfully, they win, given the show's title, against Heavens, who I decided are cult leaders because their song is called Heaven's Gate.
Oh, these punks.
Yeah, those punks. And last season, they also got help from their mentors, Quartet Night. We didn't hear much about Quartet Night last season, but we do hear more about them this season.
More boys.
Just a quick preview. So, season 3 of UtaPri. I will very quickly, just so people know the names, again, if all you know about UtaPri is through our podcast.
Like me. Like your co-host.
I don't know how great of a representation that is because we have our conspiracy theories. Or maybe it's the perfect representation.
I think it's the perfect representation, Sarah. It's fine. All I need to know
right.
about UtaPri is the fact that they are all the Love Live girls reincarnated. Like, that's all I need to know.
Because the Love Live girls got raptured at the end of the last episode. And also there's like the Happy Pulse. The other important thing you find out last season, and this is actually canon for UtaPri, is every time there's like a musical number, they tend to like fly into space and there's sparkly things that happen. And the whole time I was joking about like, oh yeah, it's as if this really happened. But then they acknowledged it in the show last season, so it does actually happen. So that's the other important thing about Uta no Prince Sama.
Yeah, the show just gets wilder and wilder.
Yes.
And I can't speak for our listeners, but I personally, no offense to UtaPri, it's just not my thing. We've discussed this. I am so happy that this is the only thing I know about UtaPri is what you tell me about UtaPri. I feel like that's the perfect way to experience this show. If you're like me and you're not into romance anime, it's perfect! You get all the weird cult shit, you get just our weird takes on it.
Mm-hmm. You hear more about Love Live somehow than you do in our Love Live episodes.
Yeah. Just a quick aside. If this is your first episode of our podcast, hi. Why is this your first episode of our podcast?
If this is the first episode of your podcast, please stick around. We're having a great time together.
Unfortunately, we do have a bit of a continuity, though, which is not something that we intended when we were first starting this show.
The iDOL Days meta.
However, it has been thrust upon us because of just the bullshit that we get into every week.
Because of the secrets we have unlocked about the iDOL Illuminati.
Sarah, we can't talk about the iDOL Illuminati. They've already replaced us with robots once.
Beep boop.
Tell me about these boys!
Very quickly. We'll go through stars first. This is our main group of boys. First is Otoya. He is the red one. We find out last season he grew up an orphan, but he's cool with it. He's just very Genki, very center energy, happy. Next person we'll talk about is... We'll go in color order. We'll talk about Ren. He is long-ish, orangish hair. He's the orange one, and he's the sexy one. He plays saxophone. Next up is Natsuki. He's like a fluffy golden retriever, and like a golden retriever, his image color is yellow.
And also like a golden retriever, he has a split personality, and when he takes his glasses off, bad things happen.
Exactly. I'm glad you remember that part. I guess this is actually out of color order. I don't know where magenta pink goes, but Shio is next. And he is magenta pink color. He is the sporty one, but he's also the short one and also the pink colored one. Mm. And he is roommates with Natsuki, and he kind of tries to keep him under control. Next up is Cecil. He is the reincarnation of Rin Love Live because he is a cat boy. He's also a prince from South Maria, I think we decided last season.
Yes, because Idly 7S North Maria, so he's from South Maria. My memories are coming back to me, Sarah. Thank you.
You're welcome. And he is a princely character, but he also is kind of a childish personality because he spent most of his life as a cat.
You know, like Nya.
Next character is one of our two Chihayas, is Masato. He has blue hair with blunt bangs. He's very serious. He loves playing piano, and he tends to have like Japanese motifs to his stuff.
Quick aside, Sarah, question. So the outfits that you sent me pictures of, are those actually in the anime?
I think they were like first season outfits. I could be wrong.
Okay, because the first thing I thought when I saw these specific pictures, they all kind of have like, they're like mostly black, but they have like little coats, and like some of them have like white sleeves. Mm-hmm. Masato has like a cravat going on, and the first and only thing I could think of when I saw this man's outfit was, boys be looking like a blue Miles Edgeworth.
Yeah, well, he's just kind of the serious mellow one.
Like Miles Edgeworth from Ace Attorney.
And the other Chihaya is Tokiya. He used to be a pop star named Hayato, and now he quit that life, and now he is an idol with Starish. And he also is the serious, quiet one, but he has like spiky, flippy hair instead of blunt bangs.
I'm trying to decide which Ace Attorney character each of these boys are now. This is what is going on through my head.
Incredible. So those are the Starish boys. They are the main boys that we followed season 1. Next up, important for this season. Last season, they were just the Starish boys' mentors. So each of these guys like helped a Starish subgroup like improve or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. They're the senpais.
The senpais, and their group is called Quartet Knight. Our first senpai we'll talk about is Reiji. His image color is green. He has reddish, like, I guess just barely touching his shoulders, flippy hair, like red-brown hair. He tends to wear a fedora a lot.
I was gonna ask about the hat.
The hat.
Because he is wearing it in the reference picture you sent
I have
me.
no idea what these outfits are from. I assume the game.
They're pretty, though. I like them.
They are. He is the only person from Quartet Night who's not an asshole.
Aw, is that why he's my best boy?
Sarah's hot takes.
He's my Discord assigned best boy.
And he would be Star. He's like the soul of the group, like the one who's like, let's keep going. He likes having fun. He likes reassuring people. He's the leafy greens.
I love my leafy greens. It's true. Now, truth be told, I have been known to love an asshole occasionally. I am a notable Akechi fan, but that's beside the point. Anyway.
Next up is Ranmaru. He looks like a DeviantArt OC. He
does!
White spiky hair. He's always frowny and upset. One of his eyes is bright magenta. The other one is bright blue.
He's like... Sarah, I apologize for the cursed words that are about to come out of my mouth. He is a Soriku child. All grown up and joined an idol group. That's who he is.
Ranmaru is what happens when Sora and Ariku love each other very much.
Yeah. That's what he's got the spiky hair, but it's silver. I'm onto something here.
And he has the Riku personality. Next up is Ai. He has like mint-ish, bluish, blue-green hair, blue eyes, and his hair is like pulled up into like a ponytail on one side, and it's like kind of flowy on the other side. He's very like deadpan flat all the time.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if that was a ponytail or if his hair is just like that.
His hair is just like that.
Okay, so he's a Sonic OC, humanized Sonic OC.
Yes.
I'm bringing back the DeviantArt shit. What is wrong with me today?
And next up is Camus. He looks like Victor from Yuri on Ice, but if Victor from Yuri on Ice was
kind of an asshole.
Yeah. But visually, that's what he looks like, and he is often paired with Ice. People call him the Ice Prince.
He's Von Karma.
Yes.
When he was, like, hot.
Other characters that are important, I didn't send you pictures, Star, but they are reoccurring, is first up, our main character, and back when UtaPri was an Otome game, our love interest, Haruka. She has orange bob cut hair, blunt bangs, and yellow soulless eyes that have no pupils, even though everybody else in the entire anime has pupils in their eyes.
The eyes are the windows to the soul, Sarah, and she does not have one. We've discussed this. It's fine. Don't shame her.
Her personality is being the self-insert, and also she just goes along with everything, and everyone is in love with her. Other important characters are reoccurring characters, rather. There's Tomo. She has like red fluffy hair. She's also an idol. She's Haruka's best friend. There is Shining Saotome. He is the principal of Saotome Academy, but now that they're not in school, I guess
is he still relevant?
Yeah, he's really relevant. He's like their producer, I guess, now, or president of the company. And then also the teachers that they had back in school are still helping out. Because remember, last season they graduated, or like season 1 they graduated, and last season they went to like the Saotome like master course, and the master course is the same as the school. It's in the same place as the school. I wonder, like, because like the location, like at least visually, is the same. And, like, the teachers are working there and the principal's working there. Did they just, like, close the school and leave all the other idols, like, on the curb being like, bye, we have Starish now?
Get out. It's time for the main characters to take the stage. You're all just background NPCs. Go be idols in another show.
Because, like, it's the same place, but it's not a school anymore. And all the teachers are working full-time here. So I guess this is where we are now.
Sure.
So all those are reoccurring characters. Important ones, I'll mention them when they come up. There's a lot of boys now. We've collected boys over 3 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens with idol shows, apparently. If you get more than 2 seasons, you gotta keep adding characters. Side eyes, idolish 7.
Just keep dragging some boys in. Let's just keep getting the boys.
Get some more boys up in here. Get some more boys up in here.
All right, so episode 1. Haruka is walking back into the master course for the spring. because it's a new semester of not school, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And there's cherry blossoms flowing everywhere.
Of course.
And then we get a new song. It is Quartet Night, and they're singing and dancing. A lot of UtaPri music I've noticed has like a lot of like kind of like jazzy elements to it, so it just continues with that UtaPri sounding stuff.
Well, we do have the character that plays the saxophone, so that's tracks.
That's true. And Haruka is walking down the campus of not Sao Tome Academy, the master course. And she is monologuing internally of everything that's happened over the last few seasons to her grandma, because that's the other thing she does, is she talks to her grandma in her head even though her grandma's alive.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Quit talking about me like I'm dead.
I think at some point we talked about how Haruka is like just her grandma's familiar, and her grandma's living vicariously and loving these men through her.
Yes, her grandma is a wizard.
Her grandma's a wizard.
And they communicate telepathically.
Yep. And so Haruka doesn't exist. She's just a conduit for the grandma to see the hot boys.
That tracks.
And so as she's walking down the campus, she just stumbles upon each of the boys one by one. And I'm not going to go through all of it. It's basically like intros to new characters in an Otome game.
Except we know these boys.
It's just like, oh, hey, you're here. And you're playing guitar. Oh, hey, you're here. And look, I think the cherry blossoms are just like you, Haruka. You know? Stuff like that.
That cherry blossom tree is also a familiar.
And
blink twice if you need help.
Yup. And then at some point we get through the last Starish boy. It's her running into Tokia because her thing is she loves running into Tokia specifically. Mm-hmm. And so then he goes away and you're like, wow, we're only halfway through the episode, but you forget there's 4 more boys.
More boys for my basket of boys.
Because Camus comes in riding on a white horse.
Of course he does.
And he says something snarky and then he rides off into the sunset. And then like Ice shows up and then Reiji shows up and everyone shows up. Everyone is here.
I am deep in a mental vision where Camus is Von Karma from Ace Attorney, but he's like 20 and he's like, hello, I'm an asshole. Yeehaw! He just rides his horse by himself into the sunset. I'm like, yeah, this tracks.
Yep, it tracks. It works.
If anyone here hasn't played Ace Attorney, what the fuck is wrong with you? Go play Ace Attorney.
It'll help you understand Uta no Prince Sama more.
Yeah, all this fucking lore.
So
okay, wait, Sarah. Do Camus and Masato were they the mentor student relationship? Because if they are, that tracks with my brain thing.
No, Camus was mentoring Cecil.
Fuck.
Sorry. You might have to reschedule.
There goes that mental image. God damn. Anyway.
So
continue.
Now everyone is there, and Sao Tome and the professors show up, or I guess the employees and the president, because they're not at school. And he's like, big news, everyone. Japan is going to be hosting the International Sports Festival called Super Star Sports,
Sarah.
aka Triple S.
Is this just your dream?
I mean, sports is important, but I have a concern.
Oh?
Because I think the sport festival, from the way they described it, is like the Olympics. And the last time Japan said they were going to host the Olympics, the world shut down and we started an iDOL podcast.
Oh, no!
So hopefully this goes okay.
What year did this series come out?
It was 2015.
Oh no, they saw the future.
They saw the future. I think they were already on the list, so I guess they thought it could be relevant in the future.
Yeah,
and here we are.
That. Hey, Japan, about that. Some stuff's gonna happen, but don't worry. I mean, you should worry, but I mean, it's...
Though, I guess to be fair, it's never... I guess we don't know that UtaPri takes place in Japan. I'm just assuming because they're speaking Japanese, but
and all of them are Japanese. Yeah, one would have to assume.
one would think. But anyways, the Superstar Sports Festival, huge deal because it's broadcast internationally, and there is going to be a competition where all of the singers in the country are going to compete, and the winner of that competition is going to be the main singers for the Superstar Sports Festival. And Saotome says, and Quartet Night, I'm sending you to audition for it.
Oh, but not Starish,
Not
though.
Starish.
Ooh, supaishi.
Yeah, and so at first all the Starish boys are like, oh, that's so exciting. I'm so hype and happy for our senpais. And then Cecil's like, oh, when's the next Superstar Sports Festival going to be in our country? And they're like, well, we have no idea. And then they get all sad. They're like, but we want to enter too.
But we're the main characters.
So they, like, take Nanami and they're like, hey, help vouch for us. So they go out back to Saotome and they're like, please let us enter this entry contest to be in the Superstar Sports Festival too. And Saotome says, I cannot do this because that would mean revolution. And then, like, they do this a lot this season where they have every single boy and they cut to every single boy just saying the same thing over and over. So Saotome says revolution and then someone goes revolution. And then we go to the next person and they're like revolution. And the next person is revolution.
Oof.
Yep. So they all just say revolution to each other as if they had a revelation about revolution, one would think.
You want a revelation.
And then we get the ending / performance.
Wait, that was the first episode?
That was the first episode.
Holy crap!
Most of the episode was the meet cutes, and I don't want to go into all of them because they were nothing.
No, I don't want to either. I just, damn.
Yep, we're in it.
What a first episode, I guess.
So, we get the ending, which is the titular song, so Maji Love Revolution.
1000超えちゃって2000この次はラブの大革命マジラブレボリューション
Revolution.
It is the... I don't know if it's the first time, but it's the first time it's really noticeable that they start leaning on 3D. Not a lot.
Is this the season where the 3D gets really bad?
This is the transformation season. To me, so we'll see this more as we go along, where season 1 was just Otome game. Season 2 went places. Season 3, I have the feeling that this is a transition, and then we'll see what season 4 brings later.
I just remember that when I used to do so for a little bit of history for y'all, if you, in case you're not familiar, maybe you skipped those episodes where I talk about it. This podcast was inspired by an iDOL anime panel that I used to run at cons around Texas so that I could get a badge to conventions for free. And the original form that the panel took was I would talk about an iDOL show for a couple minutes, kind of like list off all the characters, and then I would play a short video from it. And for UtaPri, I always had 2. I had the song and dance number from the opening in the first season, and I had the song and dance number from the opening in another season, which I think must have been season 4, because it starts fucking amazing. Like, the animation for the dance numbers in season 1, and I think also season 2, is very good, very crisp, looks very nice, all 2D animated, all that jazz. But then by season 4, it is... I guess they must have just started cranking the seasons out, and they couldn't really, keep the good animation up, and,
Yeah, so this is definitely the transition of that. So there is some not great 3D. The other thing about it is there's a lot of, like, waist-up cut-ins that aren't fully animated, so you're like, this is the transition period. We're getting there.
Fucking amazing. Revolution. Oh no, this is totally the one I was thinking of. Where they just, with the stage outfits, they just all have khaki pants on.
Yeah, they have khaki pants.
Except for Sho, who's wearing shorts.
So the 3D parts of it aren't great, but there are a lot of 2D too. So I feel like they're moving. They're moving towards the way
Yeah. No, this is definitely the one that I showed in the panel because it was just like the fucking khaki pants shots look so stiff and bad.
Yep.
Oof.
So, episode 2. So it picks up where we left off, where Saotome is like, you guys aren't good enough to start this idol revolution yet, or whatever.
Gasp.
But I have a plan to make you better, and it is going to be called the cross-unit plan, where we're going to divide you up into subunits to do work, right?
Okay.
And they're like, what are our subunits? We're so excited. And he's like, I'll figure it out later.
Womp.
So then we get the OP.
信じたこの夢は何よりも輝くよ一緒に歩いてけるのなら怖くないんだ間違いないって証明するよこれが真実のハーモニー Chase the dreams Chase my dream Chase your love
And then before we can start getting into subunits, we get an episode with all the boys all together, mostly. And all of them, so Starish and Quartet Knight, have a film shoot. And they're at a seaside mansion filming stuff for like a variety television show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the gist of this episode is like small groups of like Starish boys are like hanging out with a Quartet Knight senpai and they get inspired by the senpai. So that's the formula for this episode.
Gotcha.
So at first, Otoya and Tokia, so red and purple, they're hanging out with Reiji, the good leafy greens boy.
Leafy green.
And they're on a variety show with a bunch of preschoolers and they're like doing tricks. And then like they're having trouble keeping up with the kids. And then Reiji like kind of steals the show and he's like, oh, it's okay, we'll do this. And then he does a magic trick and hands them like someone a lollipop.
Cute.
And yeah, because he's a good boy. So then like
Good boy.
Otoya and Tokia start following his lead of just like cheering the kids up and making them happy no matter like what the script says.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, wow, Reiji is so smooth and he really can make people feel at ease, right?
Sarah, I have an important question for you.
Yes.
Does Reiji... Okay, so I'm sorry for bringing up Idolish 7 again, because there's probably some, like, rivalry between these two Idol Boy shows. So by now we know that Ryu is my best boy in I7, because he just has raging himbo energy. How does Reiji fit on the himbo to not himbo scale? I need to know this.
I would say he's not himbo. He seems very self-aware.
Damn.
I'm sorry.
But he wears a cute little hat, though.
He
and
does.
it's totally unrelated, but I'm looking at that hat, and it looks so dumb.
He
And
does
I'm
wear
like,
a cute little hat. Though he's kind, and he's kind in the sense where like he sees things happening and he intentionally steps in and dissolves situations. So it makes you feel like he's aware more than a himbo would be, right?
I mean, Ryu's kind of that, too.
That's fair.
He's the mediator. He's the glue in the unit, I would argue.
That's fair.
Between those white-haired argumentative boys.
These white-haired boys are so angry. So then the next little group of Starish and senpais, we have Ren, who is the sexy saxophone guy, and Masato, who is one of our Chihayas.
And also Miles Edgeworth.
And also Miles Edgeworth.
I've decided this as of right now.
And they're walking with Ranmaru, our DeviantArt OC, down in like a downtown area to show off the downtown.
And I was drinking water.
That's what he is!
I know, but I wasn't prepared for you to just call him that so casually and almost snarked fruit punch.
There
I almost
you go.
snarked my fruit punch Kool-Aid.
And so they're walking around the downtown and they notice like some street musicians and they're like, yo, Ranmaru. And apparently these are people that know who Ranmaru is. And so he's like, oh, cool. Like, you know, just very like, oh yeah, chill. And he walks up and he like grabs the bass off of a random guy and just starts
Of course
doing,
he
like,
plays bass.
Oh yeah.
Of course he plays bass. You look at this motherfucker and you're going to tell me he doesn't play bass. Look at this fucko. He's got bassist written all over his ass. He wears booty shorts that says I play bass.
Star, you play bass.
Only a little, okay? Mio from K-On! Call me. We're gonna do that K-On! Episode eventually.
One day.
That's not that. Everybody check off. We mentioned the K-On! Episode. That's never gonna happen on your Idol Days bingo sheets.
Well, we check off which character is the reincarnation of a K-On! After the K-Ons have been raptured.
Mio is so much nicer than this fucko, and the best part about her is that she's not the love child of two Kingdom Hearts characters.
Well...
Oh, are we going there now?
So he plays his funky little bass line, and all the tours.
I thought you were actually going to go on a tangent with that.
I'm just going to let people think their own thoughts.
Join our Discord and tell us what Kingdom Hearts character you think
Mio is the love child of.
If you go by hair color rule, Shion is definitely one of the parents.
So here's the thing, actually, is that Ranmaru is actually Mio's nobody.
Bravo! Bravo, we have done it! We have done it, Sarah! We have broken the podcast down to its core elements!
Which is Kingdom Hearts. Oh my god.
So wait, hold on, wait. So if all the main 7 idol boys are Love Lives reincarnated, does that mean that all of
Yes, they are.
There's 4 of them, Sarah. They fit original KO.
Yes, they are.
Okay, well, so with my remedial knowledge of this group, I would say that makes Reiji Yui.
Yeah.
They've got similar hairstyles, and he's got good boy written all over him. I think gives me Ritsu energy because the other guy does not.
Well, no, see, Camus has to be Mugi because he drinks tea all the time.
Oh, and he's got the hair. He's got the genetics already. Sarah, we've done it. Where's Azusa though? This is clearly season
next
1
season. Yeah, season 1 KO.
Where's Azusa?
Everyone go and who's listening in the future, listen to our K-On! Episode, which totally exists.
Sarah, wait, no, Azusa's a cat girl.
Uh-oh.
They make that joke. Oh no,
Azusa.
We already have a seesaw.
So,
the streams combined.
Rin is Azusa's nobody, but Cecil is Rin's reincarnation. Reincarnation. So everyone also go listen to AKB 0048
and our also eventual KO episode that
and 22/7 because that also helps it make sense, I think.
Why?
I don't know.
22/7 have to do with any of this?
That's when we started this whole Idol Illuminati bullshit.
22/7 was the precursor because we did not start using the phrase Idol Illuminati until Love Live, which was a few episodes later.
So, I don't remember what happened. Oh, K-On! He's playing bass, so he plays bass.
We just went on like a 10-minute tear just because this one motherfucking Sonic OC. Wait, no, Kingdom Hearts nobody OC love child character plays bass. Welcome to our fucking podcast. Who am I?
And this is one of our serious episodes.
Sarah, it's fucking UtaPri. You thought this shit was gonna be serious? Seriously deranged, maybe? UtaPri just gets more unhinged the more we go on. It's becoming our new Love Live, which fits because of the whole world building that we're establishing. It passed off the chaos.
It's the same show.
It's the same. I cannot believe that original Love Live and Uno Prince Sama are in fact the same show. I'm on to your bullshit, anime companies.
Except that this is Love Live mixed with K-On's Nobodies, Kingdom Hearts.
That's 3 things, and triangles have 3 sides.
Uh-oh.
Illuminati.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. Tell me about this bassist, Sarah. I want to hate him more.
He basses so heckin' good that like all the tourists come up and they flock to him, and then
Is he slapping the bass?
he's slapping the bass, and Ren and Masato are like, wow.
He sure can slap at that bass.
Basically, they're amazed by their senpai. And then next we have Camus and Cecil, and they're being filmed drinking tea, just like Mugi and K-On does.
Sarah, I need a button on my stream deck that will add the X-Files theme song to our podcast.
And so you found out last season Camus is a jerk to Cecil, except when like the cameras are on, basically. And Cecil's just watching Camus, and he's like, I'm amazed at how professional he can be on camera. And I, Sarah, I'm like, that's the bare minimum. But
fucking Von Karma ass motherfucker with a cravat. He's wearing a cravat in this one outfit, so I'm allowed to call him that.
At some point, some people like tried to come into the like part of the mansion where they're filming to have like their food, because I guess they had reservations, and they get kicked out because they were still filming. And the girls start putting up a fuss, but then Camus comes up and he's like, "Oh, it's okay, we're just filming here."
And then he whips out a bass.
No, he doesn't play bass. And then he's like, would you like to sit and watch? And they're like, "Oh, Camus-sama, amazing," right? So they're all exciting. And Cecil's like, wow, I'm amazed at how much he can calm people down just with the power of his charm.
And his sick, funky bass skills. That's our
DeviantArt OC.
I know, the mental image of him like, yes, I am suave. Welcome to this cafe. We're going to drink tea. And he just pulls a fucking bass out from under the little tablecloth. And he's just like,
next up is I with Natsuki and Shio. And they're doing the ghost hike, through the woods, right?
Mm-hmm. Test of courage type thing.
Test of courage. And the Starish boys are scared, but I is just like, yep, this logically is why we would feel scared here. And this tunnel is like the right angle for us to feel like we're being haunted, but the cold is just the precipitation gathering because of the wind tubes, like all science.
So he's me watching horror movies. Got it.
And they're like, wow, I love how I can stay calm under pressure. We're amazed by our senpai being able to stay calm under pressure, right? Mm-hmm. So later on, all the Starish boys are together, and they're like going over what happened, and all of them are like, wow, those Quartet Night senpais are so good. They're so much better than us. I hope we can be like them someday.
I want to kick their asses in this idol performance contest for sports.
And also at some point they talk about how Heavens is like vanished. So remember at last season, there was like a whole bet where if Heavens won, then Starish would disband forever, and if Starish won, Heavens would disband forever.
Oh yeah, and didn't they like do some like thing where they were like, no, our one wishes that you don't disappear, and then they kissed or whatever.
Yep, but they disappeared anyways. We have not heard from Heavens. So
bye, Heavens.
They're a big question mark.
They did a cult thing, and they're gone forever now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. They ascended into the sky, like everyone else after the Starish performance. Mm-hmm. And then Quartet Night shows up while they're all talking about their senpais in Heavens, and they're like, hey, Starish, are you resolved to really match us one day? You say you want to be like us, but do you really have the resolve to do that? And all the Starish boys are like, yes, we have the resolve.
You know who else has the resolve? Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Phoenix Wright's ancestor from the Great Ace Attorney Resolve. I did it.
You did it.
Did it.
And then they start singing. And they sing a Starish song as the sun rises, and there's a montage of all the boys working together on their filming in Saotomi Academy being cute. And they send some pictures to Haruka, who's working back at the master course on something. I
At
don't
the not
know.
School.
Yeah, at the not school. And she's
How
like,
much have we seen of her this season so far?
So far, you actually do see a lot. I skipped over a lot because most of her scenes are just boys coming up to her and being like, I'm in love with you. Bye.
Gotcha.
So end of the episode, they're all back at Not Saotome Academy, and Saotome is ready to announce the groups, the subunits for Starish. And there are 3 of them. The first one is Natsuki and Otoya, so Golden Retriever and Center Red Boy.
Okay.
Our next group is Ren, Sexy Boy, Shio, Short Sports Guy, and Cecil, the cat.
Mm-hmm.
And our last group is Masato and Tokia, our 2
The
Chihayas.
Chihayas!
They are together. We have 2 Chihayas.
2 Chihayas.
And I'm actually really happy with this because when I heard subgroups, I'm like, they're just going to put the roommates together again and it's going to be the same as before. But they actually gave us different pairings, so that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Okay, so the next series of episodes are kind of interspersed, like, subunit episodes and then, like, Haruka getting closer to a Quartet Night Person episode. And that's kind of our formula.
Uh-huh.
So our first episode, or our first of the cross unit is the Natsuki Otoya cross unit. And they have their big job as a cross unit is they are going to be in a musical stage performance and they're going to be working with an ex-Broadway director. So like big deal, right?
Yeah.
And the title of the play is called Two Princes, a String and Bow Concerto. And they're like, wow, this is convenient because your character, Natsuki, plays viola just like you play viola in real life. And Otoya's character plays guitar just like you play guitar in real life.
It's like it was meant to be.
And I think it might be. Like, I couldn't tell if, like, they wrote it specifically for them or not. Because apparently the final big song hasn't been written yet.
Oh.
So just because these boys are in the play, they are going to have Haruka write the final big song for this performance.
What?
And they're going to sing it.
What qualifications does she have? It's just like I get. She's main character, I guess.
She wrote a song that sent everyone into space last season. So that's a pretty good qualification.
I guess that's the only qualification that we need.
So they get to work, but Natsuki and Otoya are pretty stressed because they're thinking that this cross unit thing will, like, if they are successful, Saotome will give them permission to enter into the Triple S entry concert. And they're like, we really want to get into this entry concert, right?
We want to beat the shit out of our senpais.
So when they
on stage.
Exactly. So they go into the rehearsal and they both kind of aren't great. They get back and they're like talking with everyone about it and talking with Haruka about it. And they're like, wow, you know, the personalities of your characters aren't really similar to your personalities. They're closer to the personalities of your roommate. And then we get gags of, like, the boys following the other boys around and, like, trying to act like them and watch action movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go back to rehearsal after, like, stalking the other boys. And they do their acting, and you assume they're doing good because there's all these sparkles around them. But then the director comes up and is like, quit, you guys are overacting. You need to be more like yourselves. So they go back and they continue practicing, but now they're like not quite sure what their direction should be because before,
what's my motivation?
Right? Before they were too much themselves and now they're not enough themselves and they're just like everywhere. They're practicing all over all night. Whenever we have a cross unit thing, you usually see the Quartet Night Boys and they're like off in the corner observing and they're like, we went through something similar like this when we were young, like a younger group. I wonder how these boys will resolve it.
Back in our day, we had to be idols in the snow, uphill both ways.
So they're struggling still. Haruka sees that they're still struggling. And she shows up to them, like in the middle of the night they're rehearsing. And she like walks up to them and she's like, hey, come with me. And she goes over to the piano. And she does like a little ditty on the piano. And she's like, that's what color you are, Natsuki. And then she does a little ditty on the piano, and she's like, this is the color I see for you, Otoya. Like, this is the vision. This is your personality in piano. And they're like, that's me? That's who I am?
She has synesthesia.
Yeah, well, that or she, you know, she has these soulless eyes. So maybe color is just music for her because she can't see because she has soulless eyes. Maybe she sees auras. We don't know. She's piloted by a wizard. So they talk about how like they want to like start seeing themselves the way Haruka sees them, and like they start like telling each other the other person's strengths, and Haruka's like, yeah, I'm glad I could help my boys. And they go back to practice, but now they're not feeling so lost. They have their direction. And then we fade into the play. And they do great in the play. The costumes are pretty wild. They're like night costumes. Like apparently this is like a historic medieval type play. But when Otoya takes out his guitar, it looks like the shape of a shield. And then like there's like a little dagger sticking out the side, and like the bridge looks like a sword. It's just very enjoyable. Yeah.
Wait. Something Samurai Jam Bakamatsu Rock.
Exactly. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
And then they do their song, and it like kind of also turns into an action PV, which remember from last season, whenever there's a PV, apparently is real. Don't forget that. And then they grab Haruka and they start descending into the sky with the power of music, and they're glowing because...
Wait, why is she there?
Because she was watching, and they grabbed her with the audience and the power of their music.
I didn't know this play was going to have audience participation.
It does when you have magic singing powers.
And you're piloted by a wizard.
And then at the very end, all three of them walk home together, holding hands, Haruka in the middle, and they're like, we were able to get through this with the power of your composing, Haruka. Thank you for showing us who we are. The end. Episode 4 is our eye episode. So little blue hair boy. And she is with Shio and Natsuki because Shio and Natsuki are extras in a movie where Ai is being filmed as the star. And the plot of this movie, I'm not sure. It's like Ai is some rich boy who like pushes everyone away and doesn't like going outside, but then he sings and he spreads his wings by singing. And Haruka is writing the main song for this too, because she writes the main song for everything.
Yes, of course she does.
And again, she, at least in the story, all she does is like write the composition. She doesn't write the lyrics. In a lot of the episodes, they show people like actually like writing the lyrics for the boys. But for all we know, like last episode, the lyrics could have been written by like some like minimum wage paid guy. Like, well, here you go for the stage play.
Yeah, just some little stage gopher.
So who knows?
Or some intern who's just trying to follow his dreams.
You're like, oh, I have this music. I'm gonna have the idol boys. I'll be recognized finally.
Nope. Fuck
Nope.
you.
So some of the episodes, the boys write the lyrics, but not all of them. So, so they're filming the play, and it's like a stormy day, right? So like when the play starts, it's not quite raining, but like the sky's all dark and there's thunder rumbling. So you're like, it's gonna rain.
Sarah, if you tell me that the power goes out, I will scream.
This is not a power goes out episode.
Okay.
It's something a little more. Well, I guess it... Well, maybe the power goes out if you think about it broadly. So, yeah, maybe the power does go out.
Didn't they already use this trope?
Well, I'll get into it.
Okay, yeah, please do. What the fuck?
So, they are doing the filming, and Ai is doing perfect. Like, he delivers his lines perfectly, like the right amount of emotion, the right expressions. Like, they don't have to do any retakes. He's amazing. And Shionatsuki go up to him with Haruka. So Shionatsuki and Haruka are all there. And they're like, wow, you're amazing. This is incredible. And then Ai's like, I'm just doing things the right way because I know the right way to do things. I don't even really understand what they're trying to say in the dialogue. Like, I don't really understand the emotions behind it, but I know how to deliver it. It's not about me internalizing it. It's just me delivering it. And I do it perfect because he's perfect,
This
right?
must be how Gekidol was made.
That
shit didn't make any fucking sense.
But Haruka's like, but you delivered them like with so much heart. You must feel them somehow, right? And he's like, nope, I don't. It's fine.
I am a robot. I have no emotions.
Well, and so then he goes and stares off at the rain. And Haruka is just like observing him like standing outside staring as it rains.
Uh-huh.
And then Ai collapses. He just collapses in the rain.
Oh, his power goes out because he's a robot.
Yes.
I see.
Because Star, he's actually a robot.
Wait, no.
So
You're fucking with me.
So
You're
they're about to
fucking with me.
they're about to call the hospital, and he's like collapsed on the ground, and he's like all hot over, and his eyes open.
I gotta walk around for a minute.
His eyes open, and they're blank like Haruka's, and then there's a bunch of graphs that start appearing in them. And he wakes up, and he's like, looks like there's room for improvement. And they're like, what the hell happened? And he's like,
what?
well, I guess you know I'm a robot now.
What the fuck? All right, I'm back. I'm calm. I'm not calm, but I'm holding it together. What the fuck, really?
So he's an iDOL robot.
Sarah, no. He's an iDOL.
He's an iDOL. His name is Ai.
Wait, Sarah! Vivi had the same color hair.
I was gonna say Vivi has the same color hair. You know else who has the same color hair, who is a precursor to everyone, is our goddess Hatsune Miku. New theory.
I asked myself before we started recording, I'm like, well, from episode one of UtaPri that we recorded was pretty tame. Episode 2 was fucking buck wild. I really wonder how they're gonna raise the stakes this time. And apparently the answer is they're gonna have one of the characters literally be a fucking robot. Who would do that aside from me? Read cast.com.
Well, apparently he was commissioned by Shining Saotome, the president, who wanted the perfect idol, so he made an iDOL robot. So, in my head, this chain of events. So we had also talked about how Shining Saotome has same energy as Kotaro Zombieland Saga. We also talked about how Shining Saotome is Mari Love Live's dad. I know that we've talked about reincarnations of the idols, but maybe there's something going along with some of these like side character producers who are enabling the idols to exist.
I see.
I feel like there's some connection between Kotaro and Shining Saotome.
I gotta go get my red string and fire up my printer. Let's fucking go.
And the signs for Ai were there. First of all, his name. And second of all, he has Hatsune Miku hair color.
He do.
/ Vivi.
He do.
So yes, his power went out. Apparently, the problem is when it rains, he can't get enough charge because I guess he gets his charge from the sun or space or something.
I can't believe that fucking Uta no Prince-sama Season 3 stole my plot. I cannot believe this plagiarism that came out like 2 years before a certain character was introduced in my webcomic. Go read cast-comic.com.
So it's not the water that's the problem, it's the cloud coverage, right?
Fucking incredible.
So everyone else is shocked, but they're like, well, that's a shocker, but we'll do what we can to help you out while your power's low. And so
go get a generator. We gotta charge our idol.
Over the course of the episode, the boys are like, whenever Ai is delivering a scene, they're like doing extra hard, like if they're in the scene with them, to make sure they deliver it right the first time, so they don't have to do retakes, right? So Ai doesn't have to record as long. There's some parts where Ai faints and like they catch him and then like take him into like sit down and like recharge, I guess. I don't know. He charges with the sun. I don't know. And then they film the last scene. It's not the last scene they're filming. It's just like the last scene in the play, right? And the character says a dramatic line, and then I collapses, and the director's like, "Wow, that improvised collapse was perfect."
Yeah, sure, director.
And the others go up and they're like, "Hey, you okay? You collapsed in the middle of the scene, which you haven't done yet." And he's like, "I basically don't have any energy left."
Rip.
So while they're stalling for the weather to get a little bit better, which again, like they're filming live action, like people don't film live action when it's actually raining because you don't have continuity for cuts, but they're doing it anyways. So sure.
Yeah, sure.
So inside, Ai is doing better after sitting for a while. I guess not using energy helps him replenish it too. And he's talking to Haruka. He's like, I can make it to the end of the shoot. And, you know, it's actually funny. You and the boys helping me out today made me understand my character more. Where before, I didn't understand why my character said, thank you for helping me all this time. Because I never really felt like I needed help. You guys helping me, even though my programming says I didn't need help, showed me that, like, the kindness from others actually does benefit me, and I am appreciative, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, the whole time, and Haruka's like, but you always seem so sincere. And he's like, well, I'm a robot, so my programming just, like, learns. So, like, as the longer I'm around a person, the more I understand, like, how to react and what to say, and I know more on how to interact with the person in a positive and beneficial way. And it's just me being a robot. I can communicate well around people I know because I'm a robot and I have the data, not because I'm a person. But then it's actually kind of cute because Haruka's like, oh, that's just like us. That's how humans work too.
Aww,
is we just
cute.
gather information and we get to know people and then we know how to communicate better. You're the same as us.
Oh, it's kind of cute though.
Yeah, and then he's like all shocked. And he's like, oh, I guess that programming do not understand beep boop.
Beep boop.
Wait, Star.
What?
No one's listening, right?
No.
Are we idol robots too? Beep boop. Sarahbot 3.0. Star's programming is down. 1 second.
System update required.
And then the weather's doing good enough to film, and Ai's doing good enough to film, and he's like, I am ready to sing, and I can sing with my heart because I know what it means to be a robot and to feel.
Oh, so he is Vivi. I can't believe that UtaPri stole the plot for Vivi Fluoride Eye song.
Or
they time traveled ahead in time and stole the plot from an anime that had not come out yet.
Fluoride Eyes song.
Bum, bum, bum.
Either that or maybe they were made by the same person. I'm just saying there's a connection there, and I don't think we have the information. We don't have the data to understand what that connection is.
Serial number.
But we will get the data in future episodes. I'm sure from some anime out there will understand and will know the connection.
The missing link.
Mm-hmm. And so then he goes out and they film his solo and he does good. It's a song about like wanting to feel and like feeling the warmth of your friends. Very like specific to what we learned together with Ai this episode.
冷たいハートじゃなくそんな僕へと君は歌おう嵐を散らせ手と手に伝うこの熱ごと奪ってゆけんじゃないと君の全てを抱きしめてしまうから
And then he starts flying with angel wings in space, and he grabs Haruka, and they ascend into heaven. And then the rain clears. And then he says thank you and collapses on the ground.
Rip.
But he's okay. The end.
The end.
So, next episode, we had that, and now we're going to different characters.
Okay. Yep.
The episode starts with Ren, Shio, and Cecil, and they're all fighting like yelling at each other in front of Haruka, who can't calm them down. And everyone's all freaked out because of this drama. And then we go back in time because like right now you're like, what happened? And then there's the intro, and then we're like 1 week earlier, right? How we got here. Apparently the rock musical from 2 episodes ago did amazing. And so now it's time for the next cross unit to do their thing, which is Ren, Shio, and Cecil. And their job is they have to make a commercial for a smartphone.
Okay.
Which feels very lame, but that's okay. And not only are they being filmed in the commercial, they have to come up with like the entire script and plot and concept of the commercial.
That's not their job.
It's not their job
That's
at
the
all.
job for a marketing team. You can't just let the celebrities write your whole commercial.
Yep. And on top of that, Haruka is writing a song.
Of course she is.
And they're going to have to come up with the lyrics for the song also.
That also shouldn't be their job. Well, okay, that at least is more reasonable to expect from your talents than writing your whole marketing campaign for you. That's not their job.
It's not their job at all. And they go on to show how it's especially not their job because none of them can agree on what the commercial should be about.
Yeah, fair.
Shio is like, I like the phone because the phone is really durable, so we have to show off its strength by having an action commercial.
And then dropping it on the floor a bunch of times.
And Ren's like, I like how the phone has great sound quality. We need to have a dance with like a whisper you would tell your lover with a Latin dance, right?
Uh-huh.
And then Cecil's like, I'm a prince. We should just be princes and dress up.
Motherfucker.
He's probably never owned a phone. He was a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this kind of escalates to them just like leaving each other and being like, fine, we'll think about it, whatever, right? And they go back to like their roommates and they each like talk about how like they had a misunderstanding, right? And their roommates kind of just like stoke their own thoughts, you know? Mm-hmm. And so they go back and now they're fighting more. And it like to the point where like they just like can't get along, right? And from afar, like the other Starish boys are like, this is not good, like we don't want our group to fall apart from this. And also meanwhile the Quartet Night boys are watching and they're like, I wonder if these boys will survive past this test because they're not getting along and that could end any group, right? So Haruka meanwhile is caught in the middle of this. She has to write the music for the smartphone commercial. They have stakeholders because there's an actual commercial, right? But she kind of was hoping to get like a baseline concept from the boys to like get started. And Saotomi comes up to her and he's like, we need the song like tomorrow, basically. And she's like, well, the boys are fighting. And Saotomi says, well, if they don't stop fighting, we'll just have to cancel on the client because it's not fair for the client if we don't deliver or if we deliver late, right? Which it's not fair to the boys to have to do this, but whatever.
No.
So Haruka kind of goes around for advice. She like talks to like her teachers and Tomo, and like the basic gist of it is the boys are probably really stressed because they feel like the success of Starish is riding on them because them doing good means that they can maybe do the Triple S entry concert. And so they're feeling the pressure there. And then the other thing is sometimes boys just suck at talking to each other, which is fair, but also funny. People in general can suck at talking to each other. So Haruka is like, well, I guess that's fair. Let me go to each of them individually and figure out what their actual thoughts are so I can get kind of a direction to kind of make peace, right? And so first she goes to talk to Shio, and Shio's like, yeah, I was talking about strength, but I don't actually care about that much. I just want to make a good commercial. And you know, when I was a kid and I knew Natsuki, we always had fights, but we resolved things really quickly. But it's harder when you have like your manly pride at stake, right? Like toxic masculinity, whatever, right? She goes to Ren, and Ren's like, yeah, I actually don't care that much about my demands. I also just want to make a good song. In my heart, I feel like I just want to scrap and restart my thing. but I also feel like the others have to scrap and restart too, and I don't know the way to say it to them without offending them, right? Mm-hmm. And then she goes to Cecil, and Cecil's like, I know everyone's trying really hard, but it's hard to just be honest when like everyone's getting all heated up with each other. Like the primary aggressors were like Ren and Shio to each other, and then no one listens to Cecil, and then Cecil gets worked up because no one's listening to him. So it's just like, it's hard to talk when the tension's like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so that night, Haruka's like sitting there, like tapping her pencil on the sheet music, being like, I had these conversations, and all these boys kind of are thinking the same thing, that they just want to restart and move forward. But every time they get together, they just start fighting. I wish there was a way for us to communicate without this tension, right? Mm-hmm. And then her phone rings, and she's like, oh, I have an idea. And so we cut to a little bit further ahead, and Haruka texts each of the boys separately on their phones a music file for the music. And then they start like messaging each other on the phones, like concept ideas based on the music about like how you can communicate through cell phones your feelings you wouldn't be able to communicate otherwise, basically, right?
Okay, but that's kind of cute though.
It's a pretty cute idea. And then all of them like meet up together in person, and they're like, we did it, we wrote the song, and then their PV plays. The PV is the ad. So it's really weird because it's like the song's pretty good, but like the PV is like cell phones flying everywhere, and you're like, all right.
Fucking amazing.
It's not my favorite of the UtaPri songs. I guess I'm not a huge fan of this voice combination. It's a little nasally, but it's still good, and they did it. And apparently the cell phones sell really good afterwards. And also just kind of a cute thing you notice after is whenever a character's on a cell phone after this point, they're using the cell phone they sold in the ad. So cute. It's like continuity there. Next episode, episode 6. We're back with Quartet Night. This is our Camus episode. Sarah hates this man. Let's get into it.
Yeah, he's fucking Von Karma, age 20. He's a dick. It's okay.
A dick. So Sao Tome apparently just made the tallest tower in the world, and it's opening soon. He just did that, right?
Yeah, okay, sure.
And the reason why he made this tower is to promote Quartet Night and Triple S, just like drum up publicity, I guess. And for the tower's grand opening, he is going to have Camus sing a song for the opening, and Haruka Nanami is supposed to write the song, right? Mm-hmm. And true to like what she usually does, she goes up to Camus and she's like, hey, let's start working on the song together. Because whenever she writes a song for someone, she tends to collaborate with them, right? And Camus just is like, I don't care. Write something, I'll sing whatever you write. It doesn't matter, right? I don't have time for you, basically. Cecil overhears this and starts like standing up for her and is like, don't be so mean, don't be such a nasty person. And Haruka's like, no, it's all right. Because she doesn't care. But Cecil apparently is worried because Camus is like really like cold-hearted and mean towards him. Because again, they're roommates, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like micromanaging everything Cecil does. Like he makes Cecil like do all these chores, like make him tea in the middle of the night, stand in line in the freezing cold to get him like food, like really weird chores, right? And the thing about Camus is whenever he does idol work, he's always 100% perfect at it. Like, he does everything perfectly. But
No, Sarah, that's Von Karma's thing, too! I was joking! That's the Von Karma thing, too! It's like, yes, I have a perfect court record, and every trial that I ever run has to be Are you serious? Is that really his thing? Because I was
really Von
joking.
Karma.
I was joking whenever I compared him to Von Karma earlier. It's just because he looked like a dick and he had a cravat. Are you serious?
Nope, it works. It really does.
Oh, no!
But the problem is, even though he does everything perfectly, you can tell or at least Cecil can tell, he's never sincere. He's never been sincere, even though he appears sincere, right?
Yeah.
And then Haruka tries thinking about this. And she's like, well, my plan to get at what his real self is like, his true, sincere self, is I'm just going to follow him around, right? Mm-hmm. And so she starts following him around at work, and he's like, I'm only going to let you do this, Camus. He's like, I'm only going to let you do this if you become my servant during the time you're following me. So she's like, yeah, sure, I'll do anything. And so she agrees. He's doing perfect at work, by the way. Like, he's always happy and cheerful when he sees cameramen, and then goes back to, like, being, like, angry every other time. He does a thing where, like, he snaps his fingers, and then he, like, looks at Haruka expectantly, and she's like, what do you want me to do? And he's like, whenever I snap my fingers, you get me tea, no questions asked, right?
Why is that also a Von Karma thing?
And then he just snaps his fingers all the time like an asshole.
I hate this man!
Man! And there's, like, a part where she's, like, rushing back with tea, and he has, like, a really weirdly complicated tea order, and she runs into Starish, and Cecil's like, this, like, shit is really bad. Like, I'm gonna go talk to him. And she's like, oh, no, it's not a big deal. I'm just being his servant for a day. And Cecil, like, starts to confront Camus, and Camus just walks off, like, completely ignoring Cecil and Haruka, like, oh, whatever, I don't care about you, filth, right? Mm-hmm. So she's kind of sad because she's like, well, I still can't get to his true self, even though I'm being his servant and bringing him tea, right? Mm-hmm. But
don't bother, Haruka. His true self is probably an even bigger dick.
Yeah, right? But then she just keeps working hard at being a servant, even though she hasn't done stuff, and she just keeps seeing him, like, even though he's an asshole to her, doing really good at work, which I guess is touching to her somehow.
Haruka, raise your standards, girl. No.
Yep. And that night at the piano, she's ready to write his song, and she wants to write a song that will help him be sincere and show his true, sincere self to his audience, right? Uh-huh. And because even though he's an asshole to her, he works with a lot of earnesty. So he works really hard.
Does he?
Because he loves his work so much, he must be sincere, I guess. It's very circular. So then she gives him the sheet music, and just he's like, whatever. You really think this song will make me feel sincere? I don't care. Also, this is your last day as my servant. Goodbye, basically.
I hate this man.
I do too.
I hate this man. This man fucking sucks. That is my steamy hot take.
And now she's upset because, I mean, her take from that is that he won't sing the music she wrote, right? Mm. And she's like,
girl,
well...
raise your standards.
Right? And she's like, well, I'm sad. And Cecil's like, don't worry, don't be sad. Even though Camus doesn't appreciate you, your music always makes me smile. So your music is really good, no matter what the asshole says, right? Mm-hmm. Which is nice. And then Camus walks in wearing a white tuxedo, and he's like, come with me, basically.
No.
Yep. And she's like, well, what do you mean? And then he snaps 3 times. And she's like, what does 3 snaps mean? And he's like, that means you're coming with me.
No! This dude is a serial killer!
And then she's transformed into wearing fancy clothes, like magic poof transform, right? Uh-huh. And they're at the event at the tower, and she's his escort.
Is this supposed to be romantic?
I guess so. I don't know how the dating sim games work, but I don't think this is romantic at all.
If you've got a fucking degradation kink, maybe.
Yeah, I hate this man. And then the lights go off, and the roof opens, and Camus is up on a ledge, up on the roof of this tallest tower in the world.
Do a flip.
And he starts singing the song that Haruka wrote. And the sheer power of the song brings all of the attendees of the event to their knees, like unable to stand and whimpering, right? He does jump off the roof at some point, but he lands in front
flip.
of he does, but he lands in front of Haruka and he's fine, so that's a shame. And then he grabs her hand and they fly into space, and in the space idol dimension they talk, and Haruka's like, "You're perfect in every way."
No, he's not!
And then he's like, "Yep, I'm perfect in every way, but
Shut
also
the fuck up, Francisco!
showing my
That's not his
sincerity
name.
isn't that bad either." So that's that guy.
Manfred von Karma is his name. I hate him.
I hate him very much.
Although, Sarah, I do have one more cursed object to add to this conversation.
Yes.
Something in Ace Attorney, Manfred von Karma convinces some woman to mate him, and he has a daughter named Francisco von Karma. She do have the blue hair, though.
She do have the blue hair,
She
though.
do have the blue hair, kind of like same color as Ai's hair. Is she a robot? Is I a prosecutor from Germany?
We will put a pin on this because I don't have the answer for you, Star. But I just feel like maybe one day we'll encounter the idol anime that unlocks the key.
I need idol lawyers so that we can fully wrap up this charade.
I mean, we had idol politicians. I'm sure idol lawyers. Wait!
No, Sarah, there's an Ace Attorney musical! There's an Ace Attorney musical. They have a Takarazuka review.
I was just thinking of Teru from Idolmaster.
Oh shit!
He's a lawyer too.
He's a fucking lawyer. He's got the Phoenix Wright energy, but he red, he not blue. I guess that would make him Apollo, but
Well, next episode we're done with Camus finally.
Let's go.
But unfortunately, we're with another angry boy, Ranmaru. But he's not.
Great.
He's not as gross as Camus.
Does a funky bass line play every time he enters a room?
I did not write that down, but in my head, let's say yes. I'm going to retcon that in my head.
I accept this. Thank you for your yes anding, Sarah.
So he also is working hard. And Haruka apparently has to write a song for him to sing for something. I don't remember what it's for. I don't know if they told me. But he talks to Haruka and he's like, "Yeah, write my song. The one thing is I want no rock in it." And everyone's surprised. They're like, "But you're the rock OC, DeviantArt OC guy, and you play bass. You don't want any bass in your idol song?" And he's like, "Yep, I'm not doing rock anymore."
Gasp.
And you're like, "Oh, what's going on?" At some point, he is on a phone call and you hear him saying, like, in the corner, like, "What? You wanted to get the band back together?"
Dude, we're getting the band back together.
What's going on?
It's Phineas and Ferb reference.
But even still, he decides to stop doing rock, right? He's like, no rock anymore. And he's like, packs up his bass in the room and he puts it away, right? And he only works on idol stuff and he's not listening to rock music anymore. And everyone's like, why is he quitting rock so cold? Like, he was doing idol and rock stuff before. Why is he anti-rock? And at some point, Haruka's like walking around trying to think of like a song to write around Maru that doesn't have any rock elements to it when she overhears him on the phone again. And he's like, "Sorry, I can't accept your invitation. Bye," right? And then he sees Haruka and he's like, "What did you just hear?" And Haruka's like, "Well, you gotta tell me what that was about, right? Like, why are you quitting rock? Is that about that?" And I guess what happened is that they are tearing down a nearby outdoor stadium to build something for Triple S. And before that, there's going to be a big rock concert at this venue. And this venue is like a well-known rock venue. And his friend from his old band called him and asked him to play. And he was thinking about it. And the thing is, he knows that he can't focus on rock because he wants to dedicate his whole self to Quartet Night because he wants Quartet Night to get into Triple S. And he's afraid if he devotes himself to two things, he'll just be like half-assed at both, right?
It's like, I can't half-ass two things. I got a whole ass one thing.
So he's like, "Just let me do this, no rock." And she's like, "I am concerned, but I will monitor the situation," right?
Let me guess. They do a rock song and that's what gets them into Triple S.
Well, we are not at Triple S part yet. This is
Okay.
this is individual person episode. Basically, he continues trying to forget how much he loves rock. He goes extra hard at idol practice. He's like running early in the morning, doing idol dances, idol stretches, idol singing, only idols, no rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everyone else, Quartet Night and the Starish Boys, are observing this. And they're like, he's doing really, really good at his Quartet Night stuff. But somehow it feels like he's just doing extra work to just cover up the fact that he still loves rock. And it's like he's suppressing his true emotions. And it's so sad that he's doing that, right?
You gotta just let yourself be, man.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta let yourself embrace the funky bass line.
And then one morning, Ramaru's out in the morning. He's like doing some running. He sees a cat, which he feeds. So I guess this is his regular neighborhood cat. And he runs past the stage, and then he just like starts thinking, right? And he gazes wistfully at the old stage, and then we have a flashback, like a very short flashback about him and his band, and they're like talking, and they're talking about how like one day we'll play on that stage, one day we'll make it, and then it's like his band slowly breaking up and dissolving apart,
Oh, no.
and he's like, it was their dream, but then the band
now the
ended.
stage is getting torn down.
Now the stage is getting torn down. He never got to sing
no.
there.
Oh,
And
buddy.
Haruka catches him spacing out, and she's like, hey, I'm worried about you. Like, you're going extra hard, but like your heart's not in it. Your heart's not in the game. And she's like, even if you won't play at this concert, why don't, like, after your work's done on that day, why don't we just go watch it at least, right? So that way you can at least experience watching your former bandmates play. And he's like,
and then maybe if you're feeling wacky enough, you can just jump up on the stage and start ripping a funky bass line.
exactly.
And I know the tropes. I know how we do.
You know about the bass line. And so he's like, well, I feel like I really do need to focus. Like, part of it was like when my old bandmate called for a second, I wanted to say yes. And the part of me that wanted to say yes, the rest of me felt like that part was betraying Quartet Night. And I can't do that to my group. Like, that I already betrayed them in my heart. I can't betray them in my actions, right?
Sure, guy, whatever.
People
can do two things.
You can do two things.
I do 7 things.
But I guess part of it is also like the festival day is the same day that they actually have work like scheduled. So that's part of it
hard.
too. And he's also like having these other things and other priorities is what made my former band fall apart. And I can't let that happen to Quartet Night. So he also has that trauma based around it. And so that night, Haruka is like ready to write her music. And she's like, I know that he said no rock, but I need to show him his true self.
I'm doing exactly what he told me not to do because I know what's in his heart.
Mm-hmm. So the next day she runs into Ranmaru right before the job. So this is like the day of the festival, and Ranmaru and the others have like just a normal like photo shoot job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she like that's the job that he had to do instead of the other thing. And she hands him the sheet music and it's like, here, I wrote you a solo and it has rock in it. And the reason why I didn't do something just pure idol and no rock is because you're an idol who only exists because you love rock. The reason why you're an idol is because you were in that group and it taught you to love music and your group dissolved and now you're here and you still love music and you still love rock. And I wanted to like honor your past, right?
Come on, Rina Tada, get with it.
And then he's like, oh, what do you mean? And they go into the photo shoot. And apparently the concept of the photo shoot is all the boys are posing with instruments, right?
Nice.
And then he sees a bass and he's like, I'm going to grab the bass and pose with it. So he's like, cool, holding the bass again. He's like embracing the bass once again.
Does the funky bass line play?
Yes, I will retcon that in my head. It did.
Thank you.
And then after the shoot, he and Haruka run to the festival, like where the festival is taking place, because they're like, we're going to go watch the boys. It'll be okay. But when they get there, the festival is breaking down and all the concerts are over.
No, they missed it.
But then he's like, no worries, and he pats Haruka's head and he goes on stage and he grabs his bass and he rocks out and we hear the Ranmaru song.
각으로 우측 우측도 한단어 다들이 구슬을 뺏겨 마음에도 알다스리 만나자가 오래 식사를 놓고 싶다.
And then construction crews shoo him off. They're like, hey, we're trying to pack
It's
up
like
here.
the opposite, where like the power of his music and his projection just like go out into the community and like a huge crowd of people show up. Like a lot of people.
And then the breakdown crew's just like, come on, man.
Come on, man. So everyone's watching and everyone's happy.
I just want to go, except for the construction crew that's like, I want to go home and see my wife.
Yeah.
Dude, come on.
Episode 8, we're now focusing on a different subunit, the Chihaya subunit.
The boys.
So the other two groups, the smartphone commercial apparently was really successful, and the song that came with it was like top of the charts. We already knew that the play did amazing. The fans are going wild. Starish is incredibly popular. And so now it's time for these two boys, and their job is they are going to have a new song, and they're going to perform at the Neo Dream Music Festival, which is apparently a huge broadcasted music event. And because of how big this is, this could be the final push to convince Sao Tome. So all of them are like feeling the pressure, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing is it's not like a specific action movie or action play, and it's not a smartphone commercial, so they can basically write whatever they want, right? Mm-hmm. And so they go to Haruka and they're like, hey, we have an idea. Instead of us coming up with a concept and you writing the music and then we write the lyrics, what if we do it different where we write the lyrics and then you write the music based off of our lyrics? And she's like, sure, sounds good. Let's do it that way. So Tokiya and Misato are apparently super in sync because they're basically the same person. They like one of them says half a sentence and the other one finishes the sentence. They have the same ideas. They are the same person.
We are Legion.
They are Chihaya. So Ai's observing this and they're like, wow, these two are so in sync. Like either they're going to do something incredible and mind-blowing or they're going to reach a deadlock because they're the same. And guess what happens is they reach a deadlock.
Womp womp.
So there's like the middle part of this whole episode is just them like trying different things to get out of their deadlock. Like they go and meditate under the waterfall. They go like have some collaboration or show each other's strengths. One thing that's important to note is the Starish boys and the Quartet Night boys. You see them in the background like commenting on what's going on, but they're like, oh, but we'll just get out of their way because they're so in sync and we don't want to ruin things for them, right? We're just going to stay away. At some point they get a basket of food, like sandwiches and like appetizers, and there's a note on it like, hey, good luck, you got this, and it's in Haruka's handwriting, and they start feeling invigorated. They're like, it's okay, we got this, right? Mm-hmm. Sao Tome, meanwhile, is observing like this deadlock, and he's like, oh yes, this is a perfect final challenge, I'm so excited, like just as planned.
No, just as planned.
But they're still having a little bit of trouble, and Masato's like, yeah, this has been really hard. He's like, you know what's weird is I haven't seen the other Starish boys at all this week. And then Haruka walks in, and she's like, well, actually, everyone else has been standing back because they wanted you to focus. And speaking of that food basket you got, I didn't make all the food myself. All of the Starish boys chipped in together. They just wanted me to write the note so you didn't feel like you were like indebted to them. But they really care about you and they know you're going to do great. And they were like, then the Chihayas are like, wow, actually, that's really nice to know that the other boys are standing behind us because I feel like we've been building up this pressure that we just haven't been admitting, and knowing everyone else has our back and believes in us actually makes us feel a lot better. And our music is not just the music the two of us write, it's the music that is shaped by all of the people around us, right? So like our music should be influenced by everyone in the world, and especially the Starish boys. And then Haruka's like moved by this statement, so she just like sits down at the piano and starts playing because she's so moved, right? Mm-hmm. And then they start singing, and they start singing to it because I guess this is the perfect song for them to sing to, so they each sing a line. And they're like, we got it. That's our song. We'll write it. So
Ayo.
in the end, I guess Haruka ended up making the song first anyways.
There we go.
You know. And they go back to writing, and there's no more block, and then it's festival time. And I don't have pictures of this. I'll see if I can find a star. This is my favorite look out of all of the outfits, where like both of them are like in suits, but like Masato has like a white suit, and then Tokia has a black suit, but like they're the same cut, and then there's like this ribbon that like goes across the lapel and then like falls like halfway to their. It's a good look. They're good.
I'm imagining it in my head, and it's sexy.
Yeah, it's a good look. And then also like their voices also sound really good together. Like out of the voice actors, I feel like they're two of the stronger singers, probably because they're Chihayas.
紡ぎ響いた夢のカンパネラ歌に変わり天に輝く言葉じゃ足りない溢れる熱情声を重ね風になって Fly high 世界でたった一つのハーモニーで
So it's a really good song. This was a good song.
Nice.
And they also do end up singing in space, and there's a part where Saotome is watching from afar, and he's like, revolution! So he's all ready.
Okay, guy, whatever.
Next episode is our Reiji episode, Leafy Greens Boy.
Leafy greens! Let's go!
So he is doing great. He has lots of fans, and Haruko is, again, commissioned to make a song for Reiji, right?
Damn, they were working her to the bone. Don't they have any other songwriters?
Apparently she's the best.
Wow.
So Reiji has that thing coming up, the upcoming song coming out. He also has a work where he has to like go either overseas or somewhere on an airplane. But meanwhile, back at home, he is working on a variety show where he does magic tricks with Otoya and Tokia, right? Red and one of the Chihayas. Tokia and Otoya, like last season, they're not great, or like at the beginning of the season, they're not great at the magic trick. They flub up a lot, but Reiji like very eloquently like redirects the conversation from like them messing up to being like, oh, and let's do this different magic trick. Good job. Like steals the show, but in a positive way, right? Otoya is generally amazed by Reiji whenever he does these things, and Tokia is a little annoyed because he's jealous, I suppose, right? And Haruko shows up and she's like, hey Reiji, let's work on that song together. And he's like, you going back to the Knot Academy? And she's like, yep. And he's like, I'll give you a ride. And so you find out that Reiji drives like an old like Beetle-ish type thing, but it's like an old one, and he's like really into driving his cool old car everywhere. And he's like, okay, so about the song, when you write a song, what do you do? And she's like, well, I try to get to know the person, and I write something that really reflects who they are after I get to know them. And he's like, well, you've gotten to know me a little bit. What do you think about me? And she's like, you seem like you're a really kind person. He's like, anything else? And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, let's go on a detour, right? So they go out and drive and they see some sights. They end up at like a river walk, and he talks about like his history as an idol, which apparently he was a child actor, and then he like worked on film and TV and stage and music, and now he's an idol. So he's been like in entertainment basically his whole life, right? And he's like, but I could quit anytime I want to. I've already reached the top, like, but as a joke. And Haruko's like, no way, you can't do that. And he's like, no, I'm just joking. I love my job, right? Which is just kind of showing like he's a very go with the flow, like he's been doing this his whole life, but to him this is just what he's used to, and he's familiar with it, and he likes making people feel comfortable in the same environment too, right?
What a good boy.
I know, he's so good. He's so refreshing from campus.
Throw that boy in the garbage.
And he also starts talking about how Starish has been doing great, and he's been watching them from the sidelines, which he has. Like, the Quartet Night tends to watch the Starish boys when they do their thing, and Reiji's usually the one who like gives a little comment of like, we went through something like that and we struggled. Let's see how Starish overcomes it, right?
They're just hiding in the bushes with binoculars.
Basically. So she's like all excited. She's like, yeah, I'm really excited about Starish. I'm really happy that you recognize that my boys are doing good. I'm so happy. She gets all excited and close to him, and like they like almost kiss, basically, but they don't. It's like blushy blushy, right? Because Otome game. So that night she is outside working on the composition for Reiji, and he starts walking up, and then he does like a little magic card, like a magic trick with a card, and it's like the Ace of Hearts, and he's like, it's fate that we met together, right? But like he's like, actually I'm out here too because I'm going to be working on this interview, and he pulls out a notebook, and they're like just working next to each other. Like while she's working on the composition, he's working on like notes for the interview he's going to do. So it's just showing his dedication to his job. And the next day she hands him the composition, and he's like, don't worry, I'll write the perfect lyrics. Thank you, Haruka. Right? So she got his vibe. The next day, Reiji actually has to leave. He has his job where he had to fly somewhere to do that interview thing or whatever. And all the quartet night boys except for Reiji are like lounging around, and they're just looking at each other because all of them are who is nothing, no emotion, and then the other two who are Angie boys, and they're like, it's quiet here.
Where's the lettuce for our salad? Where's our leafy green?
Where's the only one who gives us happiness? And also, without Reiji there, Otoya and Tokia have to run the magic show variety show. Apparently it's like a weekly thing on their own. But in the middle of running it, Reiji shows up on the screen in a video call from this like tropical place, right? And they have like a little interview with him, and it goes really well. Otoya remarks after like, oh, Reiji stole the show again. He had the perfect replies to everything. But then Reiji shows up like as they leave the building, and they're like, how did you get here so fast? And he's like, oh, it was pre-recorded. And they're like, how did you know the perfect timing for the responses? And he's like, I know you guys really well, so I just guessed.
Amazing.
And then he's like, hey, Haruka, come with me. And he takes her in his car, right? And they drive to a little Ferris wheel, and he's like, time for me to sing my song. And he sings his song. And then he hands her his fedora. And she's like, what is this? And he's like, you found the real me, and you showed it to me in my music. And I love you. Like, Big D Daisuke.
Oh, Big D Daisuke.
And then she gets all flustered and blushy, like, I. And then he walks by, grabs the fedora out of her hand, and is like, just kidding, and then walks away.
Oof!
But, like, you could tell
F's
it's like...
in the chat!
He's trying to make it less awkward, you know? Because that's his thing, is he just tries to make people feel comfortable, and when he knows she was uncomfortable, he gave up. We love him.
He's like, haha, JK, LOL, unless.
Episode 10 out of 13, so we're getting towards the end.
Let's go.
Now we've gone through all of the subgroups, and we've gone through all the quartet night boys. So now it's time for Haruka to be working on the composition for the Triple S entry song for Quartet Night.
Oh.
She and the Quartet Night boys are flown to a different mansion, somewhere, to work on the song together, right? Back at Saotome Academy, all the Starish boys are just there together, and they're all feeling kind of jealous, and they're like, we want to enter too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're doing good, but like, I guess we're lacking something, and the best we can do is just keep on keeping on and just do as good as we can at our jobs, and maybe when Haruka gets back, we can convince Saotome because of how good we're doing.
Stay on that grind, boys.
Staying on the grind.
It's what my brother calls the Sigma male grind set or some shit. I don't know.
Just drop those words, Star. You can't just say those words.
my brother fucks with me all the time. Like, anytime I talk about my business or, like, what I'm doing in my life, he's like, oh, yeah, you're on that Sigma grind set. And I'm like, never speak again.
So back at the song writing camp, Quartet Knight is talking to Haruka, and they're like, actually, we don't usually involve ourselves at the songwriting stage. Usually people just give us the compositions and we sing it. So you actually collaborating with us was the first time we ever collaborated, and we feel like we could get something just like that when we do it with you right now. It'll be okay. And that's why we had you come along with us to the songwriting camp too. Like, we want to work together. And so then there's just some scenes of training camp bonding, like them writing, them like looking at papers and playing music together and dancing. So just like they're doing stuff. This is also the point where you can tell that it's a seasonal anime and A1 was running out of time. So there's not a lot of animation in our anime starting to happen. It's getting to that point where you get a lot of still frames. So episode 10. At some point, Haruka is sitting down, getting ready to finish writing the composition, and she's outside on the balcony or something, and one by one, each of the Quartet Knight boys come up, they say something like about what they learned in their episode and walk off. So Camus walks out and he's like, there's some things you can only see if you're sincere, and then he walks away. And then Ice shows up and he's like, even though we're not alike, we're a beautiful harmony, and he walks up. And then Ramaro just appears. He's playing bass, like he doesn't even walk up, he's just playing the bass. And he like asks Haruka if they've changed, and he's like, I'm gonna write a new song just for my bass, and Haruka's like, and I'm gonna write a song that blends all your passions together. And then he walks off, and then Reiji shows up, and then Haruka's like, I'm gonna see that you're all facing together with the same dream, and I'm going to make sure everyone's united and happy in their way that they're going, right? So are all united. Everyone, big wrap up of Quartet Knight's arc. And then they cut, and they're in the room with the piano, and Haruka sits and she begins to play, and they all listen in, and they're all very moved, and they're like, this song is us. You wrote a song which is us. And then we get like another little montage of them working on lyrics. And they're like, oh, well, maybe you can take this part and you can take this part. But let's first work on the chorus where we're all singing together. Because that's the important part, is us singing together, right? And then they all go to Haruka and they're like, let's sing. And so the song at this point is really cute. So the way that they describe it is... They talk about how it's each of them separately and then coming together for the chorus, like when they're talking about their planning stages. And that's kind of how it is, where it starts with like each of the boys and they do little acapella like one line solos, and then Haruka does like a sick piano riff, and then they get into the chorus together.
Nice.
It's pretty good. And then you get some more montages, all of them dancing and singing, and Haruka playing piano, so working hard. And then we cut, and there's a news program where the public is excited about Quartet Knight doing the Triple S entry contest, but they're disappointed that Starish hasn't announced that they're entering too. And the public's like, where's Starish? What happened to Starish?
Where are the boys at?
Where are the boys at? And Saotome is in his office, like sitting like the dad from Evangelion, like the darkness with the bright glasses and the hands clasped in front of his mouth.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's like, that's the ending of the episode, right? So Quartet Knight did good with their song, and that's done. But now everyone's like, but what about Starish, though?
Starish doko.
Next episode, we pick up where we left off, just continued speculation of what happened to Starish, right? Even the teachers are noticing this happening. They go up to Saotomi and they're like, hey, everyone's asking about Starish. Like, are you gonna put him in? Like, the public wants that. And like, you can have two groups in the same contest. It's not like that's not allowed.
Yeah. It's like, listen, if they want to crush their senpais, let them have a go at it. What's the worst that could happen?
Exactly. And then there is a point where Quartet Night comes back and Starish is there and they're walking past each other in the halls. And I sent you a screenshot, Star. The proportions on these boys are so whack. The art has gone to the point where it's pretty bad at this point.
Yes, I am looking at show right now. Why are all their arms so... No, it's all of them.
Yeah.
Why are their arms so short? Their fingers end at their crotches.
Do you see their necks, how big they are?
Yeah, their necks are as big around as their thighs.
And they have tiny hands.
They little Dorito men, all of them.
Yeah. So
little Dorito boy.
the art's probably getting to the point where, like, if they have a budget, it's gonna go into the music sequences. So, like, they walk, like, you know, like, just PNGs, like, bouncing up and down, basically. Like,
Cecil looks like he just got back from seeing some shit in the war. He looks like he's having a PTSD flashback right now.
Like, it's the anime, they've been running out of time. But as you know, for Sarah, this is joy. There were many scenes where proportions were just wild, or like you could tell it was traced from another scene, and you're like,
yeah,
animators, you're not getting paid enough for this shit. You do what you gotta do.
Those little arms.
The
I
tiny
can't
little
stop
arms.
looking at it now. The little bitty arms. Tiny shrunken arms. They are like toothpicks. If you just look at Tokia's hand, like from the upper arm, he's wearing a jacket that's like rolled up, and it looks like he has one of those like little tiny hands toys.
You're right.
Sticking out of his sleeves, and he's just hidden the rest of his arms up in his sleeve. He looks like he has a little tiny, like him especially. Like all of them kind of do, but his hands are especially
It looks
small.
like a tiny hand thing.
You have to post the screen cap in the Discord.
I will absolutely do that.
My God.
So, yeah, the art's getting there. But plot-wise, the Quartet Night Boys are walking by the Starish Boys and they're all satisfied and they're like, we wrote the perfect song. Also, Haruka's not coming back. We're gonna keep her forever, right?
We're gonna kill her. I mean, what?
And then Reiji, like, tosses them the CD and is like, this is the best song ever written. Basically.
It would be funny if they accidentally dropped it. It's like, here's the best song ever. And
then it's just the Tenacious D, not the best song in the world plays.
It's just fucking All-Star from Shrek. They don't stop coming, and 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 they don't stop coming.
So the Starish Boys listen in to the song, and they're like, shit, they're right, this is the perfect song.
Hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, go play.
So they're like amazed, right, by the song, and they're like thinking really hard, like, how can we compete? How can we convince Saotome that we want to enter too with this? Like, how can we compete against this, right?
All that glitters is gold.
And then they start thinking, like, what do we have? Like, what can we do? And they all like start thinking back about like also how they don't want like Quartet Night to take Haruka away, and they want her to keep writing songs for Starish. And they flash back to previous seasons, all the good times they had with Haruka, and probably again a way to save budget because they're just reusing old scenes.
Yeah.
And then they're all like, nope, no matter what happens, we are going to convince Saotome to get us into the Triple S entry concert, and we're going to sing a song that Haruka wrote. There's no way we can't do this, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have a scene of all the boys just like running through the fields at the academy, I guess, because they're looking for Haruka. They're like, we got to get Haruka so we can make this song, right? But there's like a long time of them just running through fields, which again is probably a budget thing where it's just like you see the top half of them like panting with like trees going by from like every person. Also, the cuts in with Haruka and she's just walking in the same fields, nondescript fields, holding a bag. And then they find her and the sky starts glowing. And they all individually, one at a time, say, like, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, you know, right? And they start singing with the glowy galaxy behind them. And it's a song that's pretty sweet. It's, like, all about, like, how much they appreciate the other person and they love them and thank you. It's, like, a big thank you song.
いつもだけど Thank you 同じ時に生まれた奇跡銀河分の1君と出会えた Brightness 歌に変えて
It's a good song. And then they all hold hands and they ascend into space. Which again, remember season 2, this does actually happen in canon. Mm-hmm. And then they each individually, again, are like, hey, Haruka, write a song for us. Haruka, please write a song for us. Haruka, write a song for us. One at a time again. Don't forget this. And Haruka's like, well, I already wrote you one. And then she hands them sheet music. And she's like, while I was at that training camp, I wrote the song for Quartet Night, but I just felt compelled to write this song because I kept thinking about you boys.
I just kept thinking about my best boys.
And then they all read over the sheet music and they're like, this is amazing. And they're inspired. And then they go set to work immediately writing lyrics. And there's like a montage of them working like through the night on this song and the choreography and everything for it, right? Mm-hmm. And the next day, like, they're woken up by their teacher and they're like, oh shit, we got to go to work. So all the Starish boys run out and Haruka like is like asleep at the piano, right? And the Quartet night boys peek in. And then Reiji picks up the sheet music and he looks at it and he's like, I'm jealous. This is incredible, right? And then we have a scene with them in front of Sao Tome and they hand him the CD and they're like, you have to let us enter. This is the best song in the world. Or at least it's a tribute. I don't remember exact lyrics for Tenacious D. And then they're like, please, please let us enter. And then his eyes shoot lasers.
Okay.
Like, out of his eyes, there's laser shooting, and everyone's like blinded by the lasers. And he's like, it is close, but the revolution isn't complete yet. So episode 12 picks up where we left off. They're all like, why? Why won't you let us enter? And he's like, I'm aware that Starish has achieved peak idol, and this is the best song possible in the entire world. But we're not quite at the revolution part yet. And then Quartet Night bombs the door open.
Like literally?
Like literally bombs the door open. And they go up to Sao Tome and they're like, Starish has to perform. It's meaningless for us to perform without going against Starish because we won't really be able to prove ourselves if we don't compete against them in this song.
We have to kick their ass.
And then Sao Tome's entire body starts glowing. And he starts screaming revolution. That this is the true revolution he was been waiting for, the new replacing the old, engulfing the world with the flames and not just changing it, not just themselves, but the whole world of revolution.
Okay.
And he talks about how this is the final revolution, that they were able to not only change their fans' minds, that they were able to change Quartet Knight's minds to show that Starish is on par with them. So I guess the last thing the boys needed was for Quartet Night to stick up for them, I guess.
Okay.
So they're like, does that mean we can enter? And he's like, yep, on one condition, that this perfect song you guys wrote together is going to be called Maji Love Revolutions.
Okay.
So they get to enter the Triple S entry contest, thankfully, I guess.
Yay. I guess.
Yeah. the Quartet Night Boys are like, don't get us wrong. We didn't do this because we think you're better than us. We did this because we think that we're better than you, but we're so close. We just want to be able to prove it on stage, right? We're rivals. Mm-hmm. And because we're rivals, we're no longer your mentors. We're moving out of the dorms. So we're all two formally competing rival idol groups at this point, right? Mm-hmm. And then we get like some montages of both groups like working really hard for the Triple S entry concert, right? Mm-hmm. And especially Quartet Night is like more like inflamed than ever. Like before they were like excited about their lyrics and they're working hard, but now they're like dedicated, nose to the grindstone, idol music all the time. And at some point they call Haruka over and they're like, hey Haruka, can you do us a favor? Can you rearrange that song you wrote for us? And she's like, sure, why? And they're like, because before we were just excited to be singing a song united together. But now, like, we all have this burning passion and we want to share our burning passion with the rest of the world. So next time you hear the Quartet Night song, it will be more intense.
An ass-kicking anthem.
An ass-kicking anthem. So the night before the performance, all the boys from both groups are, like, looking out and they're like, we want to share our music with the world. Haruka is writing a mental letter to her grandma about what's going on.
Do you mean her wizard owner?
Her wizard owner. I have a note here, and I don't remember where it happens, but I just said shirtless Ren does not have nipples. So I guess that be aware of that. And then it's time for the concert, the Triple S entry concert. Quartet Night and Starish pass each other in like the hall, and you could tell like how tense it is, right? In the audience, like you see like everyone's backstory characters, basically, like Ren's brother, like the kids from the orphanage, stuff like that. And the concept of the concert is there's a panel of judges who decide who wins, but there is no rehearsal and there is no confirmation of who's entering. No one knows who's entering.
But they knew that Starish hadn't entered.
Well, I guess it's because other groups had announced that they're going to enter, but like there's not a formal set list that's put out.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And then Quartet Night goes on first. Haruka's like wishing them well from backstage, and they all look on at her. They're like, yeah, thank you so much, Haruka. You're the best. And they go on stage and they sing their song. It's a new arrangement. It is not a cappella piano anymore, but it does still have like the solo singing parts. It's mostly about evolution, right?
Oh.
Yes, rather than revolution, it's evolution. There's a lot of waist up. There's a lot of still frames. There's lots of cuts away to the audience. So we're at that part of the end of the season anime.
Yeah.
But they still managed to animate hip gyration, so I'll give it to the animators. there's still frame, the boys wiggling their hips, still frame, and you're like, good job.
It's important.
You did it. Last episode, part 2. It starts off, and then we see the Quartet Night, like, half of their performance again, so they're definitely trying to fill time.
Yeah.
But there's an addition to this, where tentacles of light start coming out of the television.
I'm sorry, what?
Tentacles of light come out of the televisions where people are watching them and engulf everyone who is watching Quartet Night sing. At some point, all the Quartet Night boys turn into beams of light and go up into the sky, right? And at the very end of the song, they fall and land like on their feet. They're like, yeah, we did it. So they did that good.
Yep. I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on the light tentacles.
Light tentacles, yes. The Starish boys are like shocked. They're like, wow, tentacles of light came out. They're so good. These boys, like the Quartet Night boys, they were senpais.
I think they're all warlocks.
They're warlocks. They were always powerful, but now they've evolved. They've powered up. They're evolution 2 now.
But they must have like 4 spell slots all between them.
Well,
D&D jokes on our iDOL podcast. What you gonna do about it? You can't make me stop. Hey.
and they also talk about how their lyrics are about evolution. So like talking about how like evolving is more different than like revolution. So like they're declaring war on us with this different mind concept, right? Mm-hmm. It also reminds me of the new gen song.
No, I was thinking
Revolu, generation. So, ergo, there's a connection there. I don't have the energy for it right now, but Illuminati confirmed. Confirmed.
Evolu, Revolu, Illuminati confirmed. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
So backstage, Haruko smiles at them, and the Quartet Night boys are like, "You unlocked our evolution. Like
you unlocked your secret tentacles.
You unlocked our secret tentacles. We are satisfied with our performance, but this is just the start. Like, we're going to continue on this path of evolving and being better than ever before, right?"
Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Star is still looking at that screen cap where everybody has tiny hands. It's still up on my computer. I've just been lovingly gazing at it the entire time you've been telling me about the last few episodes.
And then it's time for Starish. So like, Starish, you're up. There's a point which is like a pretty cool visual metaphor where like Starish is gonna go to backstage, and like Quartet Night is like up a level on the staircase, and Starish like climbs the staircase to pass them, being like, "We're gonna be your rivals now. We're on the same level as you."
Ooh. Your girl loves a visual
it's a
metaphor.
Good metaphor. And then the Quartet Night boys are like, "Well, get a good look at us while we're on the same level." And they're like, "We did, because we're going to even surpass you now," right?
Did you get a good look at our asses when you were coming up the stairs behind us?
Did you get a look at our tiny hands?
Look at how small they are.
But you could tell, though, that the rivalry between them isn't, like, antagonistic. It's just, like, a rivalry, right? Like, hyping each other up rivalry.
I have the tiniest hands.
Meanwhile, Sao Tome is standing at the top of the tallest tower in the world he built, watching on and shooting lasers into the city with the power he's getting from the iDOL music.
Okay, yeah, what's this guy doing?
I don't know. There's something there. There's something there with Kotaro. Maybe he's getting energy so he can revive the zombie idols. We don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something.
He's doing something. I don't know what yet. Remains to be seen. But, something's going on with this fucking guy.
So backstage, right before the Starish boys go on, they're all talking to Haruka about how back in season 1, she said that their music one day can change the world because she loves these boys and these boys do so good. And like the whole time they're like hyping her up and talking about past seasons. There's like a little acoustic like Maji Love 1000% playing in the background, which is pretty cute. It's a good. And then Starish is on stage. They appear in a whirling tornado. And they sing Maji Love Revolutions, which is not a surprise because it's the same animation and everything we've been seeing as the ending all season.
Yeah, so question about this actually. Did they actually go on with like a bunch of polo shirts and khaki pants as their stage costumes?
I mean, yeah, it kind of is like that in it.
That's exactly what Sarah, they're wearing. It looks like they're ready for a day at the golf course.
It kind of is.
Like business casual.
They do their performance, and apparently their business casual outfits are perfect, and everyone is amazed. And even the Quartet Nights or boys are like back then, like they did it. They're on the same level as us, right? And everyone's like, I wonder what's gonna happen, because Starish and Quartet Night, they are on literally the same level. Like, I don't see how anyone could surpass them. They're the best. They did it. Starish, you're amazing. And then the announcer's like, and that's it for the performances. And then the lights go off, and you hear laughter, and then there's smoke, and then you hear a voice say, "We're back." And then
Oh, no.
Heavens appears on
What?
pillars. They have returned from the dead.
This is what I wanted.
The first time the public has seen them since the UtaPri Awards. And now there are 7 of them. Before there was like 3, and now there's 7 of them.
Oh, God!
And they open the gate of heaven inside the auditorium, letting loose and shocking everyone, right? Like there's a giant laser beam that shoots out, but like they're singing, right? Like they do a remix of Heaven's Gate.
ようこそ新世界へさあ今宵最高の楽園天国へ扉を開く Yes, so
Which again, Heaven's Gate, I would caution anyone before they Googled the words Heaven's Gate together because it was a cult that did end in people tragically taking their own lives. I don't know if there's a connection. I hope not, but also maybe there is because their Heaven's Gate opens up, shoots laser beams at the entire audience. Like people are like blown away in the debris. Like there's like screams not of joy but of terror actually happening.
Okay.
And they sing their song, right? Afterwards, the audience is stunned. The judges are like splayed on the ground unconscious. Like, again, season 2 confirmed this stuff actually happens.
They did murder.
And then the main guy from Heavens announces he's come to make Heaven's triumphant return. And each of the boys introduce themselves. Very short with their little gimmicks, but it's kind of given that each of the Heavens boys are the Starish Boys' nobodies because they all are slightly the same but with a very slight evil twist to them. And I killed Star.
Full fucking circle!
Full circle!
Oh, I'm lightheaded, Sarah.
I'm Illuminati confirmed! And then the audience starts chanting all 3 groups' names, like each group is being chanted for equally. And back out on top of the tower, Sao Tome is like, the revolution is going perfectly, and then it turns and she sees the Heavens producer from last season. He's like, yes, perfectly. And they're like shooting like their laser beams into the city, right? Continuing.
Yeah.
And then cut. That's the end of season 3 of UtaPri. Incredible, right?
Season 3 gotta end on a cliffhanger.
Season 3 ended on a cliffhanger. Now we know that the Kingdom Hearts conspiracy is real and is inside of UtaPri.
I was just joking about that shit at the beginning of the episode. I'm a prophet, apparently.
You're the perfect iDOL podcast robot.
Beep motherfucking boop, apparently, I guess.
Beep boop.
I foresaw it in a dream. Which is funny for me to say because that actually does happen to me, Sarah. Do you ever get like prophetic dreams of just really mundane shit?
No, especially not podcast ones.
Oh. Well, I occasionally will like have a dream about like eating a good sandwich and then like a couple weeks later I'll like be in that exact place and I'll be eating that sandwich and I'm like, wait a fucking second.
Incredible. So, in summary, season 3 of UtaPri, Kingdom Hearts is light. They even opened a door, just like Kingdom Hearts.
Oh my god, I was just fucking joking. I was fucking joking. We didn't talk about... Sarah, we did not talk about the content of this episode before we started this podcast.
No.
No, that was just me doing some fucking shit, and it turns out the Kingdom Hearts is light, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Kingdom Hearts is light.
And is UtaPri... What the fuck?
And also, so are reincarnations of Kaon and Muse. We're here
and
now.
Ace Attorney.
And Ace Attorney. And
I'm too good at this.
And we'll get to season 4 one day when the people are ready, but they're not ready right now.
I'm not mentally ready. I think if you try to tell me any more about UtaPri, I would explode.
So, want to give a hint for our next episode, Star?
No.
All right. My hint is it's the best iDOL show ever.
Okay, yeah, actually, yeah, I will agree with that. It's the best
probably
idol
the
show
best.
ever.
It has
I'm very
everything.
excited about it. Yeah.
Get out your bingo cards, everyone.
Yeah,
Be ready.
get out your fucking bingo cards.
Okay, so if you want to find us on the internet, where can you find us, Star?
idolluminati.net or idoldays.card.co. That's idoldays.carrd.co. That is our website. It's got like a list of episodes. It's got info about us. It's got a bunch of different links to different places where you can listen to the podcast and all that fun stuff. We've also got a couple of hidden Easter eggs on there. It also has a link to our Discord server,
Wow.
which you should totally join. And then talk about idols with us, because that's where Sarah's going to post a picture of the Tiny Hands idols, right?
Yes, look forward to it.
Yes. Also, depending on the platform you are listening on, if you look in the description of this episode, you should see a hyperlink to join our Discord server.
Wow.
Ayo!
You can also find a link to our Discord server on our social media.
And what's our social media, Sarah?
We're on Twitter and Instagram at IdolDaysPod. That's at IDOLDAYSPOD. Come, tweet us your idol conspiracy theories. Tell us which idol robots are made by the same people. Tell us who is a Kingdom Hearts nobody of another person. We need to know.
Talk to me about Ace Attorney Ida Ruse.
Yes.
Which Starish member is each Ace Attorney character? We need to know for science. Also, just talk to me about Ace Attorney in general.
So, this has been Idol Days. We've been Lady. See you next live.
Bye.
Bye.
Holy fuck, Sarah.